Hi, my name's Harry. I'm a teacher living in Hong Kong, and on this channel I discuss ideas from books, films, podcasts, or any other idea that crossed my mind as I read, listen, and learn my way through life. As the name of this channel suggests, I'm always looking for better ways to efficiently manage my attention and consume information. In recent months, one of the key ways I've done this is the email newsletter. The problem: information overload. So what was wrong with the way that I consumed information before? Well, I've been feeling more and more that consuming news content, whether that's on TV, through a news app, or through social media, has made me feel passive, powerless, and overwhelmed. The news that we see is really a carefully curated set of biases and opinions. Now, maybe it's impossible to find truly bias-free news sources, but it seemed to me that I was overlooking the inherent biases in the news that I was consuming, and often confounding a source's popularity with its level of objectivity. This is a big mistake. The bigger and more popular the source, the more it has to gain from manipulating you. It's also really important to remember that the news doesn't exist to keep us informed, it actually just exists to keep hold of our attention and make sure we keep consuming it. And as a result, we all have this kind of obsession with being up to date with the latest developments and headlines. And that comes at the cost of a lack of depth of understanding and therefore a less well-informed public in general. There's simply not enough time to go into depth and learn about a certain issue before the next story breaks and the news cycle starts all over again. This rapid turnover of stories and the obsession with being up to date leads to a more and more hysterical news cycle and less clarity. I found it exhausting and counterproductive. The solution: curation. Someone else spends a lot of time and effort selecting, so you don't have to. Now, curation comes in two principal forms for me. The first one is books, and the second one is email newsletters. There are certain subjects that appear in the news that I know I want to have a much deeper understanding of. An example of this would be the killing of George Floyd last year, and the subsequent social unrest that took place in the US, the UK, and elsewhere. It made me realise that my understanding of race relations in the 21st century probably needed some updating, and I knew that this was too important of an issue to leave to the clickbait-driven news cycle that we consume without really thinking about it every day. My first step is to find books on the subject that can take me deeper. I read Me and White Supremacy by Layla Saad and The Fire Next Time by James Baldwin. The next step is to find an individual or maybe an organisation that you can trust to curate your information for you. You can make decisions about which types of newsletter to subscribe to. I try to look for something that will either develop me more as a person, give me a longer term view of a subject, or give me more depth on a specific topic instead of just reacting to whatever the latest developments are in the news. I try and stay away from reactive news cycle based stuff. It doesn't make me better informed, simply more up to date. Also, you'll find that if something really important happens, your friends do tend to tell you anyway. Examples. In terms of personal development, I look at the newsletters of Ali Abdaal, Nathaniel, Drew, Kleon, and the new one by Matt D'Avella called Slow Growth, which has been really good so far. And I look at 1440 and Morning Brew to keep me up to date with the important news developments because they're very short and they tend to condense what's happening in the news down to just the simple facts instead of this kind of like quite hysterical and narrative driven approach which has been quite alienating to me. So that's the way that I've been shutting out all of the noise, especially in this pandemic time. So in summary, a carefully selected series of email newsletters is a good way to make sure that you have control over the news that you're consuming and you've always selected the source very carefully instead of just accepting whatever the major news outlets or even worse, the social media apps are pushing forward as news. Remember that those algorithms that drive social media are there to maintain your attention more than they are to inform you of the facts. And therefore, the more you click on a certain topic or genre or even a certain political leaning, the algorithm will resurface those things more frequently and therefore will harden and entrench your opinions. So trying to find a source of news that you think is objective and is going to be consistent is really, really important to stop us going down those kind of rabbit holes and to stop us all becoming more polarized and kind of entrenched in our views. If you're bored of using social media or mainstream news apps for your news, then maybe try subscribing to a few email newsletters and putting them into a folder in your Gmail or your Outlook or whatever it is so that you can click on a specific place to find all the news that you need. And if you got any value from this video, then feel free to subscribe for the next one. Cheers.